Vamos que vamos.
Você busca a felicidade ou aproveita a jornada? Angus Deaton recebeu o Prêmio Nobel de Economia em 2015 ao analisar consumo, pobreza e bem-estar e demonstrar que a felicidade não é diretamente proporcional à renda. O bem-estar está diretamente relacionado com a forma pela qual direcionamos as nossas próprias vidas e lidamos com as externalidades. E qual é a relação entre liberdade e felicidade? Um indivíduo livre é aquele que não trata os outros como mestres ou escravos, mas como iguais e independentes. É aquele que lida com outros através de trocas livres e voluntárias, trocas essas que beneficiam ambas as partes pelos seus próprios julgamentos. Independente do nosso componente genético, nossas experiências e outros fatores que não temos controle, a liberdade nos proporciona poder de escolher e, com isso, o poder de treinar o nosso subconsciente, fazer com que a escolha de ser feliz seja um processo automático. E como isso é feito? Para nos explicar, convido ao palco Tal Tsfany.
I'm missing a clicker. Just if I can get the clicker of the, yes. Hello everyone. Coming after a magician and a hypnotizer is a really tough bar to hit. So I'm not going to hypnotize anyone, but I'll try to hypnotize you with some radical ideas. So a little bit about me, who I am. I'm a very non-traditional CEO and president of a non-for-profit organization because I come from business. I built companies in the software and in the educational domains. And after reading Ayn Rand, when I was turning 40, which was 11 years ago, she kind of blew up my life, and I rediscovered myself and my journey. And I decided after selling my company in the Silicon Valley to head a non-for-profit organization that deals with philosophy. And I'm sure that when you're thinking about philosophy, you're thinking about those philosophers, something pretty obscure. I'm going to make philosophy today actionable, real, controversial, and I hope you get out of it something about you and your own life, and hopefully about the fight for freedom and your own happiness. So if in 45 minutes you're not satisfied of knowing who you are and how to pursue happiness, I failed, okay? So that's a high bar. Okay, so we all want to fight for liberty, right? We all want to fight for freedom. Okay, and eventually you all want to be happy. I would make a radical claim that understanding what the state of happiness is all about is very philosophical, and most of you maybe don't even understand what brings about this state of consciousness that we call happiness. But we'll talk about it. I will start from talking about a prerequisite to happiness, which is called freedom and liberty. Okay, guys, we are losing. Do everybody agree that we're losing the battle? I see a lot of nods. We are losing. We're falling on our faces. It's going to be bad. 10 years, 15, 20 years from now, Brazil will be a socialist country. You won't be able to make the money that you're making. You won't have the freedoms. And I know exactly why. It's because we don't know how to fight the enemy. You think you know how to fight, but you don't. In your business, if your competitor is having a better strategy than you, you're going to lose. And your enemy has a much better strategy than you. This is why they're winning. And I'm going to explain to you what the left has been doing in the last 100 years and why we have lost all of our freedoms, why we're losing capitalism and so on. and I will try to give you a recipe of how to rethink, re-strategize our fight for freedom. This is a conference about protagonists. Protagonists go on a journey, and they have a vision, and they succeed in the end. So my goal for you is to be protagonists. So let me give you a short story. Imagine that you live in an island. Let's call it Sao Paulo. Very small, okay? And you live your islander life. It's great life. Everything is great. You're walking down the street. Everybody's happy. You're having a great islander life in this little place called Sao Paulo, okay? But suddenly, things happen. Winds started to lash from right and left. There are winds happening. There are storms. Everything is disturbing your very good islander life, and things are starting to look grim. You're starting to see new ideas coming up that you'd never heard before. People talking in a new language. There are people starting to go against each other, calling each other names, becoming tribal, accusing other people of things and being racist and being horrible and misogynist and so on. And you're seeing that it's actually taking ground. It actually happens in reality. It's not just ideas. And things are serious are happening. People are being canceled. People go on the street talking about justice. People take action and reaction from the right and the left, and everybody is becoming tribal, and we against you, against them, against the socialists, against the capitalists, against the racist, and so on and so forth, and you don't understand where this is coming from. Why? It's going to get to your streets. And you're seeing things that you never saw, you thought you were even going to see. This is my hero, right? Jefferson. So you're in your house, and you're thinking to yourself, what can I do about it? You're super concerned, and you have an urge to fight back, but you don't know how. You're completely confused. So let's go back to the island that is slowly fading. What can we do? Ayn Rand gave us a lot of answers, but she's demanding. She asks you to check your premises and everything that you were taught that is true and reconsider it. I took the helm of the Ayn Rand Institute because I felt that I can build another company, make some more millions of dollars to be in my back, that's great. But we need to change things. I really understood after being around philosophers and combining my executive knowledge and know-how with the ideas of the physicists. I call them the physicists of ideas. We're the engineers. Every one of here is an engineer of your own life. You all have a philosophy. It's explicit or implicit. You're running by a philosophy by deciding what to do in any given moment. You have a code of morals and you're acting by it if it's implicit or explicit. So I build a system that is, in a way, or not me, but Ayn Rand built a system, and I'm trying to convey it to you, but it requires you to do a deep dive. So I ask you for about 30 minutes to dive deep with me and forget about where you come from, what you were taught to be true. Just let's see if it makes sense. Okay, so Ayn Rand wrote in the philosophy Who Needs It, which is she explains why everyone needs philosophy. What can one do? What can you do to make a world a better place? So, Mariano, if you can.
Abre aspas. Se você está seriamente interessado em lutar por um mundo melhor, comece identificando a natureza do problema. A batalha é principalmente intelectual, filosófica, não política. A política é a última consequência, a implementação prática das ideias fundamentais, metafísicas, epistemológicas e éticas que dominam a cultura de uma determinada nação. Você não pode combater ou mudar as consequências sem combater ou mudar a causa, nem pode tentar qualquer implementação prática sem conhecer o que você deseja implementar.
So if you're competing in a market, you better know in what market you're competing. What are the rules of the game? If you want to fight for liberty, I would urge you to understand that the fight is not a political fight. If you think you're going to win by politics, forget it. Forget it. It's going to be a little better. Maybe Bolsonaro gets elected. You see some ease on capitalists and investors. It's going to go back to socialism very, very fast. And the reason is they're the good ones. They're the good guys. We are not. We're talking about ethical, epistemological battles, not political. Here, if you, por favor.
Abre aspas, em qualquer conflito intelectual, você não precisa converter ninguém. A história é feita por minorias, ou, de forma mais precisa, a história é feita por movimentos intelectuais, os quais são criados por minorias. E quem pertence a essas minorias? Qualquer pessoa que seja capaz de se preocupar ativamente com questões intelectuais. Aqui não é a quantidade, mas a qualidade que importa. A qualidade e consistência das ideias que se está defendendo. Fecha aspas.
So the battle is not even battles for millions. Most people don't think in that level of philosophy and ethics. They inherit it from their culture and they go almost by autopilot. If you want to win that battle, you need to understand it's an intellectual battle. You all chose to take a day of your life and come learn and engage with the ideas of liberty. I commend you for that. I applaud you for that. But please understand that in order to win this battle, you have to go deeper into the world of philosophy, and we don't have to convince millions. We just have to do what the left has done, which is to take over the intellectual people, the influencers, in academia and in business and in all kinds of influential domains, including judges and politicians, and to train them to carry the right ideas versus the wrong ideas. Let me give you about a minute of Ayn Rand answering the question, what is the new intellectual? She basically says that the only person who can save us is the new intellectual, and she explains what it is.
In several of your novels, you've made the point that leadership in any culture, not only in art, but in literature, morality, politics, and economics, that this sort of leadership must be provided by what you call the professional intellectuals. I wonder if you could tell me just what you mean by the term professional intellectuals. Who are they, for example?
The professional intellectuals are, in effect, the field agents of the army whose head or commander-in-chief is the philosopher.
Mm-hmm.
The philosopher, the man who defines the basic fundamental ideas of a culture, is the man who determines history. And professional intellectuals are all those whose professions deal with the humanities, the studies of men as against the physical sciences. The professional intellectuals in all their various professions carry to the rest of the culture, to the rest of society, the philosophical premises, the ideas which have been defined by the philosopher. Therefore, they are the transmission belts. They are the ones who determine the goals, the values, and the direction of a culture.
Is this true in any culture?
So she's saying that the principal in chief, the commander, is the philosopher who defines the ideas. Then the conveyor belts are those influential intellectuals who take those ideas into the culture, and the culture just plays it out. It can be freedom and liberty in America. It can be Nazi Germany. It could be Dark Ages. It could be Renaissance. It could be Enlightenment. Whatever the philosophers of that era defined as the ideas of this era is played out by the intellectuals into the culture. You can see skyscrapers and wealth and prosperity. You can see misery and murder. It's just that you all are executing ideas. What you think is right is what you're going to do. And the people who determine what you think is right are the philosophers. The question is, have you consciously defined your ethics? Have you chosen it? Okay, so let me give you, going back to our island, a new perspective on this island. What you are seeing in politics, the winds and everything around you, is actually much deeper than that. That's only 10% of what's happening in reality. Politics is just what's happening right now, what's in the news. Forget about the news. Who cares what happened today? Look deeper. Look into ethics, which is asking the question, what is the good? Is it good to make a profit? Are you going to apologize for you making money because the good thing is to care for other people and to understand what Ayn Rand is saying, that if you take the virtue of selfishness that she wrote, by the way, a new translation that I really recommend you read, The Virtue of Selfishness, now translated to Portuguese. She's saying, no, they're confusing you. Selfish is taking care of yourself. Did you all brush your teeth this morning? Why? You're selfish. You care for yourself, for your own life. You want to sustain it. But they brought another idea into that word, which is not caring for others, which is something completely different. It doesn't belong in the same word. But now you're holding those two things and you're thinking, every time I do good for myself and I'm not thinking about somebody else, I'm bad. She's saying this is moral treason. Separate those two things and then you'll see that one is actually dependent on the other. If I care for myself, this is the good. I am moral by making as much profit as possible, being as the best I can be. And if I want to be rational and good for myself, I should care for other people. It makes sense. Try not to be nice to other people. See what happens to your life. So it's a false dichotomy to think that being good to yourself and being good to others has anything to do with each other. You can be good to yourself and you can be, I'm not very social. I want to be by myself. I don't care much about other people. Great for you. And of course, we have all the religious ethics bearing upon us saying, think of others. This is the good. So you have to rethink that. But that's not enough. You think that the left is dealing with you on an ethical level? No, they're working on an epistemological level. They are now challenging what is true. Can I be a woman? They say I can. How come? Do you think that's stupid? No, guys, this is the smartest thing ever. If you can train a child to think that reality is not the standard of truth, you can train them to be whatever you want. You can train them that killing Jews is purifying a race. This is how you control a mind. They're dealing on epistemological level. We're fighting them in politics. They will win. If you want to go back take back liberty, you have to understand that this is all one thing depending on each other. We need to take back the words. A man is a man, and a woman is a woman, and reality is reality. Racism is racism. If you think that black lives matter and other lives don't matter, you're a racist. If you are trying to group two people, not by who they are and their personality, but any other thing like skin color or even nationality, you're a racist. You're a tribalist. Okay? We are all individuals. Show me one person who's like the other person here. We're not ants. We're individuals. Everyone is different. And at the bottom, they will even go to what is real. They will tell you, oh, you and I talking right now, it's your imagination. This is even deeper. This goes down to what is real. Are we here now? Are you imagining me? This is how philosophical it gets. So think about it. Metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, only then politics. Politics is just a derivative of those things. Let me give you a 3-minute history lesson. That's all you need to know about human history. Human history is a fight between two perspectives, Plato and Aristotle. Do you know this famous painting by Raphael, the School of Athens? When, I try to zoom in. You see that Plato is with his hand up, and Aristotle is with his hand down. Those basically are the two principal philosophies that ever existed. One is telling you, all your knowledge comes from above. It needs to be revealed to you. This is the father of all religions, everything mystical, including the left, by the way, which is a religion, a subjectivist religion. And Aristotle, the father of science and logic and technology and everything that is good about life, is saying, no. We can know reality by power of our mind, by the power of logic. He invented logic, that one cannot be, A is A, it's not A. If this is a clicker, it's not a clicker. It cannot be something else. He made it up. And this is an achievement. He says we can know reality with the power of our mind, figuring things out. All of what you see around you, all this wealth, is the power of that philosophy. And all the evil, unfortunately, in the world is thinking that it's going to come from somewhere else, another dimension. It's all here, guys. So let me give you a lesson, a history lesson, just showing you how everything that we've ever experienced in human history is the result of those two philosophies. Theophrastus is the CEO of the Lyceum, which is Aristotle's school, right? So he's trying to propagate in ancient Greece Aristotle, but no, Plato is on the rise, and then Greece falls, and then Rome takes Plato, and with the new Platonists basically merges everything. They adopt Jesus Christ, and they create Christianity into this mega religion, and before you know it, we have Dark Ages. And we're stagnant for hundreds and hundreds of years. I don't know if you know, but in ancient Greece, they had running water. In every house, not in every house, in many houses. They forgot about it. They went back. The GDP that was in ancient Greece was only achieved again in the 1800s. This is how back we went, when Plato was on the rise and Aristotle was forgotten. And then Thomas Aquinas rediscovers Aristotle in the 1200s. And they say, wait, Aristotle is genius. But how we can reconcile faith and reason together? And he tries. Without knowing, he sparks the Renaissance. And then Da Vinci comes and starts thinking logically about the world and trying to make all kinds of machine. And Michelangelo and Galileo launched the modern mathematical sciences, and then Kepler. And then Newton, the scientific revolution of Newton happens only because of the rediscovery of Aristotle, saying we can understand this reality. Now it's all mixed. Religion is still there. All of those guys that I just mentioned, somewhat religious, or could not say that they believe in something else. And then reason goes into politics, into the understanding of like, wait, we can induce this into individual rights and how we should live as humans. And Locke actually inspires Jefferson and all the founding fathers, and before you know it, you got the political revolution of America, and you got the industrial revolution of America. But the same year that America is born, this guy brings back Plato. He says, okay, faith is going to die. Guys, they're going to kill faith. We're going to bring back faith. How are we going to do it? Reason is winning. Aristotle is winning. Let's publish a thing called The Critique of Pure Reason. We're going to prove that reason is useless. Why? Because reality doesn't exist. There's nothing to know. I don't know if you know what this guy is saying, but he's saying what the left is saying. He created the left. He created subjectivism. Why is objectivism by Ayn Rand called objectivism? Because it's the opposite of Kant, of subjectivism. There is an objective reality. He says there's no objective reality. If you talk to a true leftist, a true Kantian, he would say there's nothing to know. You have your own truth, I have mine. What is there to talk about? Then Hegel propagates that and creates what then becomes fascism. Karl Marx is based on the same thing, takes it into economics. Before you know it, you got Russia, USSR, and people are being killed. So, and then comes a very young phenomenon named Ayn Rand. I think it'll take humanity 20, 30 more years to understand that we're talking about the fourth genius of philosophy who ever lived. There's Plato, who created philosophy. By the way, he's great about some things. Aristotle, then Kant builds on Plato, and Rand improves on on Aristotle. She said that no one could have come with a better philosophy if they haven't seen the miracle of America and the Industrial Revolution, understanding what the true power of the mind is. See where we are with the internet and everything. This is the power of the mind when you give it a little bit of freedom. Okay, so please, another quote. Just one last quote.
Abre aspas. Conflito político é apenas uma luta de espadas. Conflito filosófico é uma guerra nuclear.
So I'm asking you, do you want to fight with this? Or do you want to have the weapon of that? I mean in a good way, not to destroy anything. The nuclear level battle is happening with the power of ideas. It's controlled by intellectuals. This is why I took upon myself to create the Ayn Rand University. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to give you that if you want capitalism, prosperity, progress, innovation, fulfillment, and happiness, you need to understand that at the bottom we have liberty, individual rights, that is based on a morality of rational self-interest. This is what Ayn Rand is saying. It goes against anything that everyone ever told you. She's something new. Like Steve Jobs coming up with a new iPhone. She's telling you, wait, guys, there is innovation in philosophy. Listen up. What your parents told you is the good is not necessarily the good. Rethink it. Decide for yourself. And rational self-interest is good. Be selfish in a good way. And take care of other people. Not because you must, because it's good for you. That's the standard. My life is the standard. When I'm going to die, everything dies. The world dies with me. And that is based on the epistemology of reason. Use your mind. This is your means of survival. A squirrel in the forest lives in the means of a squirrel. You live by the means of your own power of reason. Use it every day, including in philosophy. So my goal, my mission in life is to find and be a flame spotter. She called it flame spotting. To identify the people who are willing to make a fight at that level. In the Ayn Rand University that I launched last year, we have 100 students already. What we teach them is philosophy and literature and art. All the humanities that will make them the best thinkers they can be, and we teach them how to speak, how to communicate, how to write, how to interpret what's happening in today's current events at a deeper level. To explain to you how to have the ammunition to go out and fight on the real battlefield. So if you know any intellectual young person, or if you are interested in understanding more, come, learn with us. We are joining hands. We'll accept people who are passionate about learning more about ideas, and we want to create the best humanities department in the world that will fight all of the other corrupt departments. Try to walk in the philosophy department of a school today, in a university. You will be disgusted by what's being taught there. If you haven't read one of those books, please do. It changed my life. When I closed the last page of The Fountainhead, which actually I read after I read Atlas Shrugged, I quit my job. I started my own company. I started on a new journey. I became much richer, much happier. I changed some relationships in my life for the better. And then after making a lot of money, I decided I wanted to go and talk on stages and become a philosophy non-for-profit. And I have a podcast called The Happiest Man Alive. I feel I'm like the happiest man alive. Not because I'm competing with anyone. It's the happiest I can be. And I wish it for you. And you can learn about it from Rand. So please, next month, I'm going to bring all my faculty here. And we're going to spend 2 days. You don't have to know anything Ayn Rand to learn about Ayn Rand. Okay, so September 22nd, 23rd in Teatro B32. Please scan this and come. Be our guests. We're going to be there for 2 days. You can ask all the questions, whatever. You're religious, great. Come with your religion. Attack Ayn Rand as much as you want. We'll give you some answers. Go think about them. And come be inspired to see how many people are realizing that we have to shift our strategy if we want to win. Don't waste your time on politics. With all due respect, I have a ton of respect for Mises and Hayek and all those geniuses who explain to you what is happening. They're not answering the question, why is it happening? Where is the invisible hand? Right? So we're going to be here, and I love coming to Brazil because there's a sense of life here that I feel is being lost in other countries, of wanting to fight, wanting to protect liberty, wanting to work towards human happiness. Let me finish. I have about 15 more minutes. I want to talk to you about happiness. Because it's not only about fighting for liberty. Let's say that you and I are walking out of this theater, and Brazil is a libertarian heaven. Government has just disappeared, okay? It's just managing the army, the police, and the courts, which is their proper role. They have nothing to do with economy. Go do whatever you want. You still have the strategic question of like, okay, now what? What am I doing with my life? So you've solved liberty. I want to tell you or share with you how powerful it is to dive into the right type of philosophy, because philosophy is just a blueprint for a man's life. So let's talk about happiness. What is a human being? A human being, you know that cute animal, I like it, I love it, I see it every day in my backyard. So they have a means of survival, like I said. They find nuts, they bury it in the ground, they find a hole in a tree, and they live like a squirrel. That's their nature. And if you want to succeed as a squirrel, you have to be very good at what you do, try not to be eaten by any predator, and find a nice mate, and have a really great squirrel life. Drop this thing in a forest, what happens? What happens? It dies. What is the means of survival of this animal? How do we get to control the world when we're running slower than any kind of animal? We're weaker, right? We basically die. We don't know how to do. Do you know how to make clothes? I don't. How to make the food that we just ate? How to make a table, a light, a clicker? It's all in here. Our ability to conceptualize. Now, what is our ability to conceptualize? Let me be more clear about this thing called the human mind. And she says, by the way, man's essential characteristic is his rational faculty. Man's mind is his basic means of survival, his only means of gaining knowledge. What is this? What are those things? Bottles. They're all in different shapes, different sizes, but you still, with your unbelievable mind that you, by the way, you pay no attention to, you can conceptualize all of those different existence into one word. What you just did is that you took many different existence and you abstracted out of reality and you created a word that holds all the bottles in the world. Understanding that the common conceptual denominator of that existence is its function, its ability to hold liquid, right? What is a table? It can have 3 legs, 4 legs, 5 legs. It can be round, square. It can be anything. You abstract out of reality. Now, this powerful thing is our means of survival. So let me be philosophical for a second. So think about the fact that the function of our mind is to come up with concepts that describe reality and reduce all of reality into 60,000 words that we can remember, and then we have a language. If you want to be rational, you use the words to describe what's going on in reality. If you want to destroy your mind, you make up stuff that doesn't exist. For instance, if I took the word selfish, I explained to you how we can corrupt the word by giving it double meaning, what Ayn Rand called a package deal. That is one way to destroy the mind. Another thing is a floating abstraction, something you all say, but you have no idea what it is. For instance, try to explain a 4-year-old what social justice means. Can you show a 4-year-old what social justice means? You can't. You can show a 4-year-old what justice means. So let's say I take my 4-year-old and I say, you see, this person wants to buy bread, and this person made the bread. So he's giving him the bread, and he's giving him money so he can go buy other things. You see, you get what you deserve. This is justice. So I took a very very abstract term, and I reduced it down to reality, right? Now, if the guy runs and doesn't pay for the bread, I say, this is injustice. He is left without the bread and with no money. A 4-year-old will understand that. What the left is doing is inserting new words that doesn't relate to any existent in reality. This is the epistemological battle trying to destroy your mind and your level of clarity of reality. This is how you win the battle. This is how you convince people that socialism is great because it's good. Try the word equality. Can you show me in humans what equality means? What does it mean to be equal to someone else? The same amount of money? The same height? What are the killing fields in Cambodia? What are they? It's an attempt to actually live out this concept of equality. If you were too tall in Cambodia, they would shoot you. If you had glasses, they would shoot you. If you spoke too eloquently, they would shoot you. Why? Because it's not equal. If you want to see people die, fight for equality. Equality is a concept. It's an anti-concept. It basically describes nothing in reality. So your ability to call a bottle is your power, your human power. So whenever a lefty or someone says, yeah, but we fight for equality, I said, what is this? I don't understand what it is. You made up something that it doesn't exist. This is how you fight it. Now I want to connect it to happiness, to leave you with a lot of inspiration of what can you do with it? What is happiness? Can you explain happiness? Everybody has their own definition. How can you be happy if you don't know what it is? In the world of the outside world, 2 and 2 is 4. It's black and white. Why does in happiness and everything that has to do with our own inner world, everything is foggy? So let's be scientific about happiness. Here's the definition. She says happiness is that state of consciousness which proceeds from the achievements of one's values. So she says, first, it's not a weather. Today it's raining and tomorrow it's going to be sunshine. It's a climate. It's a state of mind. Do I look happy? I look happy, right? I'm not jumping for joy and trying to get my next pleasure. I'm a happy, fulfilled person. I know who I am. I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm very, very clear about my values, and I'm pursuing them. And the outcome is happiness. So the first thing she asks you to do, what is important to you? Now, the answer for each and every one of you is completely different. This is why we're individuals. You can love the opposite things of the guy sitting next to you. Know what your values are. Ask yourself, introspectively, sit down. By the way, buy a notebook, start writing. It will do great for your happiness. Ask yourself the first question, what is important to me? What do I find meaning in? Make a list. Ask yourself, why do I like this? By the way, be suspicious. Some of the things on that list are not yours. People taught you to love those things. So first, know yourself and what your values are. Second, be effective in achieving them. Go out, be focused, go get it. It's going to be hard, yes. Every heroic journey has 3 parts. I know what I want. It's going to be hard to get it, but I get it. This is the summary of every movie, every story that you've ever been told. This is the heroic journey of us. Achieve it. It's going to be hard. You don't have to start your own company. You want to be a teacher, but be the best teacher you can be. And then the outcome of that process, you cannot give it to yourself, you cannot give it to others. It's an output of that process of knowing who you are and going after it, it looks like that. Sorry to point about myself. I'm a very happy person. I wouldn't change my life with anyone else. And in the revolving doors of all the lives I could have lived, I can't think about another reality where I'm more fulfilled than one I am. I wish it for you. So clean up your value system by making sure it's yours, nobody else's, and go be non-compromising. You want some inspiration? Go read The Fountainhead. And ask yourself, how is Howard Rourke this type of person? It means that I'm good at living. It means that I know myself and I'm clear about my feeling about who I am. I am value-oriented. This is very important. Wake up every day just looking for the good things in life. Why do you worry about bad things? Don't spend your time. The only limited resource in the world is your time. Focus on good. Focus on what's important to you. Forget about the bad people in your life. Forget about the bad politics, unless your value is fighting politics, and go live what's really important to you. Be effective in pursuing it. Have a sense of purpose, control, and urgency. Don't wait when you retire to do what you love. Don't make it into a hobby when you can do it all day long. Live your life. All those people like, forget your passion, just do what you're good at. Why? You have only one life to live. Make it fun. We all know that as kids, by the way. Happiness is an achievement. It's not the default state of man. If a squirrel will lie down, a bird will come out and eat it you have to do things to be happy. Happiness is earned. It's hard work. Those are my heroes. This is my number one hero. He's a Brazilian. I hope you recognize him. Happiness is internal. It's yours. Nobody can give it to you. You cannot take it from anyone else. You cannot give it to anyone else. By the way, you want to be a good parent? Let your kids be themselves. Don't tell them what to be and what to do. Let them be themselves. Of course, you have to guide them. And again, it's a climate, it's not a weather. I want to summarize something I'm working on right now, which is the happiness team, because it's very hard to do that process on your own, especially if you're older. So I created like an accountability team where people get together, go through all those concepts, and then commit to some kind of goal, and then they work together, keep each other accountable, because it's very easy for me to know if someone is excited about something, and for me to keep them honest about what they said they're going to do. So I just wanted to give you like the gist of all of this in the last 2 minutes. It's 4 stages. One is self-observation, answering the question, who am I? What do I love? And then analyze it. What do I really want from all the things that I love in this world? What do I want for myself? What do I already have? Then, what do I want now, in my life right now? Because it changes. This is where you move from analyzing your values into committing to take one thing and saying, how do I get this thing? And you plan it. You take your introspective hat off, you put your executive hat off and say, and you say, now I'm going to get it. I'm going to make all the plans, even an emotional plan. You know, I know that I will feel anxiety. If I want to change a job, it will be some financial risk. I know it's going to be hard. Let me write some memos for myself when I'm going to be in that state of anxiety. And by the way, if you want, after that, I will be happy to answer a question about what a feeling is. A feeling is just an automatic response which is a flag from your subconscious saying something's bad or something's great. But you can go behind that feeling and evaluate if the root cause, which is called value judgment, makes the feeling legitimate, rational, or not. Because your emotions, you cannot suppress them. They give you a lot of evidence of what's going on in your mind, but you can challenge them. If you feel anxiety to leave a job that you don't like in order to leave to a job that you really like, it's just your animal in you saying, please don't change, please don't change. Have you ever seen a cat go into a new house? They're frightened for like 2-3 days. They won't even eat. That's the back of your mind. It's the same. So you can train that cat, that animal mind of yours to say, it's okay, we saved a little bit of money, it'll be okay, we'll try it. We can always go back to it. That's what I did when I decided to open a new company. So dealing with emotions. And then ask yourself, what's stopping me? What's in my way? What do I need to do in order to decide to change my life? And then once you pursue, you start moving, you'll see, oh, that's where it gets really hard. You called it a heroic journey. It's really heroic. Everybody, everything in you and outside of you will say, stop, don't take so much risk. Go back to your comfortable life. Let's go for safety and predictability. There's a book that I really recommend called Turning Pro. And it says something beautiful. He said, look, you have a decision to make in your life. Do you want to be a professional or do you want to be an amateur? If you want to live a professional life, it's going to be hard, demanding. You have to show up every day. You have to do it when you don't like it, and the reward is unbelievable. If you want to live an amateur life, go rest in the sun, have a predictable life, live like everybody else. Don't do it when it's not easy, But here's the price. You live in the shadow. I love this analogy because what shadow are you living in as an amateur if you don't live your full potential? It's the shadow of your possible self. It's knowing what you could be and you're not. And this is why people get depressed and into many bad states, because they know they cannot lie. You cannot lie. of what you could be doing, what you could try to achieve. Now, by the way, it doesn't matter if you succeed or not. You can try. So stepping out to the light and going after something you really want because your heart wants it is what life is all about. So how is it going? Why am I losing motivation? Why am I gaining motivation? Who can help me? Get mentors, get people to help you. And then the last thing, which kills me, by the way, is that people do all of this. Successful business people, I meet billionaires, and they're not that happy because they don't know how to celebrate. Somebody taught them to be successful is to feel guilty. And this is, again, bad philosophy. Celebrate yourself. Enjoy your life. Go say, I'm great. I'm amazing. I did something wonderful. I have a long list, by the way, of the good things in my life that I write almost on a daily basis. On a weekly basis, I really try to nail it. And it goes back to 2012 when I started doing that. And whenever I feel a little sad, or I open that good thing list and remind myself how wonderful I am. All the things I've done on a daily basis that you guys forget because our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, all the good things you take for granted. All the bad things are risks. This is why you remember them. All the mistakes you've made, all the bad things you've done, it will never go away. But the good things, the fact that you are where you are right now as an independent human being with some wealth and a house and a family and meaningful relationships, how did it all happen? Remind yourself, celebrate, go rest, go have fun, go do that trip you said you're going to do when you're retired. Don't wait, do it now. Be brave, go out to people, tell them what you think, how to improve relationships, right? Now, I'm sounding like a self-help guru. I'm not. This is based on philosophy. If you want to go listen to Tony Robbins, some of what he says is right, a lot of what he says is wrong, because he doesn't really have a philosophy. It's whatever works for Tony Robbins or other people that are mindfulness and so on. This is science. Now, we call it science, and it's very hard to understand because the way to understand the external world, we have a specific science, biology, physics, chemistry. The science of the inside is philosophy. It's just that consciousness is way more complicated than material. So thank you very much. Done? I'm done? Okay, so I want to thank you very much. I want to invite you to fight with us and fight for your own happiness and for liberty. Thank you.